Law Farm is in conversation with Dr. Nagaratna, who is the chief investigator of the first cyber cell that was founded in an Indian legal institute. Okay, we have Dr. Nagaratna with us, who's going to help us understand cyber law a little bit. So, ma'am, you just was instrumental in establishing the cyber cell in NLS. And what were the challenges? Like, was it easy or was it really difficult?
Definitely it was very difficult because first of all I'm from a law background and I had to set up a lab which got to do with a lot of technology involved in it. So choosing the kind of systems that are to be in place, choosing the kind of forensic tools that are to be put into these computers were all very challenging. But then in the course of doing it I also learned a lot. So we did have a lot of expert panels set up. So I got a lot of inputs from DSCR labs, from cyber police officers, and other IT experts and all. So that was a very tough.
It was a conglomerative effort.
So that way, like technically, it was quite tough. But otherwise, I got all the cooperation from our vice chancellor from the university. So that way, that part was very easier. So administration was easier. At the same time, now to procure the things from government fund is another complex procedure with which we academicians are not exposed to. So we had to adhere to the provisions of Public Procurement Act, that this, so call for tenders,
So
which generally doesn't happen
process
with a faculty member. So I got enlightened with those things also. So that way it was challenging, but end of it was very satisfactory.
Okay, so ma'am, in the workshop also you mentioned a lot about cyber crimes, and one crime which I think is of big relevance is cyber terrorism.
Yeah.
Right? So could you give us an instance of cyber terrorism for people who don't understand? A simple example would do.
Any act with which you cause terror in the mind of people, it can be with the use of cyber technology. The recent example that I can give is, if you remember in Bangalore, a lot of northeastern people got this SMS which was distributed and spread amongst them saying you have to vacate Bangalore within so and so date, within August 15th, otherwise you'll not be safe. So it created a lot of havoc, terror amongst the people, and they started leaving Bangalore. And it was only a false message that was spread, and government had to interfere, Home Ministry had to interfere. But for almost more than a week, it was a terror that was created.
People are not conscious of the fact that this is an instance of cyber terrorism.
So this is something that I can immediately think of. So like this, there are many incidences wherein terror, at least attempt was done to cause terror in the mind of people with the use of technology.
In the workshop you mentioned about how even instruments like washing machines and televisions can be instrumental in spreading cyber crimes. Could you tell us how?
See, now you have a new form of cybercrime called botnets, with which the application of which can be used to take control over your computer system. And today there are many advanced forms of these machineries, home appliances including TV, refrigerators, and then with botnet that can be taken control of, and through that you can hack any other system. So this can be an intermediate media through which you can attack some other computer. So A can be attacking your system with the use of C's home appliance. So this can become a medium, and that is happening, and already such cases are reported in US wherein refrigerator was used to hack other systems that was itself hacked. So all these are happening today.
What is the law? Do we have an explicit, like a law which exclusively deals with cyber crimes, or is it a conglomeration of a lot of laws in the country? So if I was a victim of cybercrime, what am I supposed to be concerned with? Which
So you do have one specific law called IT Act 2000, amended in 2008, but then that doesn't stop you from invoking the provisions of other laws, because you have a provision in the IT Act itself saying that other law, if applicable, can apply.
so it's supplemental. in
Yes,
nature.
so therefore there are some forms of cyber crimes for which only IT Act will apply, something like sending a virus and all,
Right.
because it's so technical and only this law can deal with it. While there are some crimes which were traditional in nature but today has been committed with the use of cyber technology, like stalking or defamation or pornography, you can apply IPC as well as IT Act as well as many other laws.
Right.
So it's a very comprehensive legislation.
When you speak about other laws, ma'am, you had mentioned about there being a recent amendment in 2013 post the Nirbhaya case,
Yeah.
which is also relevant to cyber crimes. Could you tell us a little more about
The
it?
one relevant provision that we now have in place is 354D, section 354D, which talks about stalking. So if a woman is stalked with the use of these electronic devices, 354 easily applies. So cyber stalking as of now is not covered under IT Act, so it's only IPC which applies. So that's one cyber.
Does the provision define what cyber
It
stalking,
does, it does.
stalking is?
Yes.
So it explicitly
Yes.
says that if I'm followed,
Yes,
if
yes.
I've sent messages.
Yeah, without consent and all
Right.
that. Yes.
Is it easy for police to investigate in this matter? What are the problems that a police
Very,
investigate?
very, very difficult, because again it's so technical in nature, so that even
First of all, our police are not very equipped because they're not
Exactly.
trained
Yeah.
for all these
So the
kinds
way
of
they
things.
have to investigate, so what needs to be retrieved, what needs to be confiscated, manner of retrieving it. So everything is a challenge for a police officer, and also especially when you're confiscating digital evidences and all, you need to put it under hashing process. So hashing itself is quite technical. So unless you are exposed to these forensic methods and tools, you can't do it. So it's a very big challenge for a common police officer. So hence you have in place cyber police stations in some places, but they're like so small and with so many very few people in it that they can't do the entire investigation. So what we need is training of the regular police in at least with the basics of these methods of investigating cybercrime. And today no crime is committed without the use of cyber technology.
Yes.
So almost every crime is in
At
one or
least
the
with
other
a
way
telephone,
cybercrime.
at least with a cell
Yeah.
phone. Speak about the fact that our police officers are not really trained. So, where does the commoner go and report an instance of crime? Is it do I lodge an FIR in a regular police station, or do I have to go to one of these tiny cyber police stations?
So irrespective of the fact that they're trained or not trained, you have to go to a regular police, because all the offences under the IT Act are cognizable. And any cognizable offence, the first procedure is you lodge an FIR with the police station. So you go to regular police. If they are equipped to handle the investigation, they'll do. But then again, investigation is a very wider term. So there might be some part of investigation which doesn't require forensic analysis of digital devices. So they can take care of the other investigation. But when it comes to cyber technology being involved, they can refer that part of investigation to the cyber police station. So hence you have to go to a regular police, and then if they want, they will transfer the case to the cyber police station.
What are the challenges in bringing cyber criminals to books? Like you mentioned about it being not available offense, it being available offense rather, and then it's a cognizable offense. And are there any other concerns that you?
So as you mentioned, procedurally it's a very simplified law that we have now. So the moment I'm arrested, I can get the bail. It's good from the point of view of the accused, who is still only, as of now, only a suspect. but then the investigation needs time. Investigator might require the accused custody for interrogation, so that itself is a big challenge. The secondly is the very technical nature of the crime. So the lack of technical tools in the country, you hardly have these tools, forensic tools. Cyber police stations are very few in number. There are not more than 15 or 16 police stations, and then even if you have, like, you have very few people. So lack of technology, lack of awareness is another challenge, and then the lack of awareness amongst the judiciary also. So even if you take a case to the court, the extent to which they'll be able to understand this, able to appreciate these kind of evidences, that's another big challenge. So even lawyers are not aware of it. So prosecutors are not aware of it. So lack of awareness amongst the entire stakeholder involved in administering justice system is a big challenge.
You also mentioned about the fact that most of these cyber criminals take advantage of the fact that they can remain anonymous, and they're usually children and adolescents. So is that the majority of criminals who are just adolescent and children, or do you have, or is that just a small segment?
Most of the writings and reports reveals this fact that majority of them are adolescents or the youngsters. Even
they
in
do it
US,
as a, like, something
yeah,
of a
because it's a technology that is more used by youngsters. So you see the abuse also amongst the youngsters and against youngsters more in number.
Is the law trying to address the issue that children are
No,
involved
that's
in
not
this?
taken care of. And that is not specially considered as a relevant factor. But as a criminologist, we must consider that as a relevant factor, because accordingly the sentencing should vary. The way you treat a offender should change. But as of now, nothing like that has formally happened.
What do you think is the conviction rate like?
It's very less. It's less than 9%
Less than 9%.
throughout the country. Yeah.
And the penalty is how much? Like, how high can it go up, and what is the lower limit if you are found to have committed a cyber crime?
Usually, the imprisonment can range up to 3 years for most of the offences. But if it is cyber pornography, it can go up to 7 years. Or if it is cyber terrorism, it's life imprisonment. So other than cyber pornography and terrorism, it's usually up to 3 years.
Do you think it should be made a compulsory course like cyber laws, because it's such a prevalent topic? Science and technology is taking over. So that's the last question. Do you think
it should be? Definitely, because now there is no law that doesn't get intertwined with cyber technology or cyber law, be it IPR or even your IT Act, IPC. So cyber, you can't teach criminal law unless you talk about cyber crimes in the class. You can't teach tort law unless you talk about civil wrongs committed with the use of technology. So it has to be taught, but how do we teach is something that needs to be deliberated upon. It can be a separate subject like IPR, and I'm sure it's going to happen, because UGC has already asked all the higher education institutions to consider this. But till that happens, I think each and every law teacher should integrate cyber law teaching into the regular teaching. So we are talking about constitutional law and privacy and all that. If you do not talk about the way the cyber technology has impacted on the cyber, on the privacy, then you're not actually teaching.
So you think
it's not updated.
Essentially, to
Firstly, you need to integrate it with the regular law teaching, international law, jurisdiction. Everything can be taught with the examples of cyber cases. Then mainly focusing on teaching cyber law as a separate paper should come at least within 2 or 3 years. So mainstreaming cyber law teaching should happen.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.